Like always, thanks for watching, all of you guys. I am obviously, like I've said to you guys before, Springbok supporter, but very interested also in All Black Rugby, living in New Zealand. And I watched the breakdown this week and I thought it was a really good episode. I enjoyed the episode. Firstly, I just have to say that I like the way that, Goldie and JK has really toned down a bit and being a bit more fair in their commentary, in the sense of, when I'm saying fair towards other countries, I know for a while the kind of comments that they were giving about the Springboks sometimes I felt was really harsh. Obviously a lot of criticizing of the kicking game in previous years and a lot of stuff that I felt that, yeah, but you see how the tables have turned, where now the All Blacks are starting to play more of a kicking game as well. So not maybe coming off the best this week, their kicking game, but nevertheless they're starting to play that kicking game also more, introducing that, and then again for the Springboks introducing more of a running game. So just generally enjoyed the episode and to hear what the guys have got to say. So let's react to the first clip that I've got here.
Scrum's been really solid. Defence was very good, especially close in, they couldn't go through us. But the line out really struggled, and so did our kicking game.
Character of our team is what's got us through for 2 weeks.
Now there, again, I've got to say, totally agree with both guys. Firstly, everything JK said there, it's what I said in my reaction when I watched the game and reacted to it. From a scrummaging point of view, huge improvements this week. You know, Jason Ryan puts a lot of pride in that scrum, and he's turned that around very well. Got to agree that what the All Blacks did really well is their defense in the narrower channels was very good. The only thing is, I think from a wide channel perspective, England was asking questions, but that is because of, I have to say, the genius of Marcus Smith and his ability to do those cross kicks and get the ball out wide, because it's not like England could really get it through the hands quick enough, because the defense was so good from the All Blacks in the tighter channels, but the kicking enabled them to get those balls out wide and for some of those tries to be scored. Also talking about the kicking was not great, not contestable. Firstly, still struggling a bit under the high ball. Some of the players really not, Talia stood out as one of them. That's got to work on those skills. If you want to start playing the kicking game, you have to remember that if you're going to kick, they're going to kick right back, because then it becomes a territorial game. Not all teams are just going to run you back. They'll just kick it right back. So you can want to start playing the kicking game, but that means you also have to develop the high ball game, being really good under those high balls. We can see how good Ireland was in the game against the Springboks and the clever tactics that they brought in. Now, some will say a bit unfair by kind of all attempting to go for the high ball, but turning their backs to block the chaser, to not be able to compete in those high balls, which I think is something in the laws that will change probably with the next law changes, because you can clearly see deliberately the Irish at some point just pretending to go for the ball when it's up and under, but just basically building a shield around the guy that's going up for the catch, and that means the chaser can't get to the ball. But let's stick to the All Black Rugby. Like I say, really not great from a kicking point of view, and then lineouts, we don't know what's going on there. It's just a big question mark. I've never seen the All Blacks struggle this much at lineouts. There's just no cohesion. Cody Taylor's been great as a hooker, and this week it made him look a little bit foolish, because I think there's just no proper preset moves and a plan A, B, C, and different kind of set moves that's working well there. Also, obviously, a lot of staff changes there, the experienced boys out of the team, Retallick and Whitelock, but still not acceptable. I mean, Vai's had some experience. It shouldn't be going like this, guys, and that was a bit dismal. And I have to say, and you have to say, that the All Blacks pulled them both through, but that comes back to Goldie's point where he said they showed character. So it's that will to not lose, and being at home and not wanting to lose, and just having that little bit extra, fighting to the end, not giving up right up to the last moment, and them getting away with the 2 wins, but it could have easily been different. So then going to the next clip, I found this also very true what they were saying. Let's listen to this one.
We
probably haven't got our game going, and that's due to the fact of the pressures that we've been on from a defensive point of view from the other opposite side. But you asked a couple of weeks ago, how many games would you be satisfied us winning? And I said 9, right?
So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The All Blacks have had this ability to still close out the games and win them. It's got to be considered that, it is an evolving team. You got to say that it's totally new way of playing. You would have expected a little bit more from the All Blacks to find their cohesion quicker. They seem to really be struggling to find their cohesion under the new coaching, reign of Scott Robertson. But it will evolve. But the fact is, they were put under a lot of pressure. The development of the English defence structures and getting that press defence right so much better has really put a lot of pressure on this team, basically being new kind of guys in new positions, talking especially and your fly off and your scrum off, all being new guys in those positions and kind of having to get used to the pressures. But yeah, with that said, granted, but we have to say that you need to see huge improvements here from the All Blacks if they're going to be going into the Rugby Championship, because I just don't feel the way they've played now, they will be convincing in this Rugby Championship. It doesn't mean they won't win some games, because they just have this ability to always surprise and keep themselves in a game with a little offload here or a special moment like Talia had there around the ruck. But overall play and being satisfied with the type of play that they have, if you compare it to the level that Ireland is with just their structures and how disciplined they are and how good they are at all parts of the game, the same you can say of the Springboks. Definitely need more development, but also closer to that. I do feel the All Blacks need a little bit more even in development, and they've got a short period, and I would just question playing teams like Fiji. It's going to be great for everyone's confidence, but it's going to open up the game again, and it will allow for beautiful running wide channel rugby and for Damian McKenzie to express himself and play like he wants to play. But you almost feel that they need more of these challenging games like they've had now to develop this team under pressure, because if they're going to have one or two really easy ones, they're going to that Rugby Championship with a different type of pressure again. So then we go on to them talking about Beauden Barrett, and I've got my opinions. I'll give some more after this, but let's listen to what Mills had to say about Beauden Barrett, because Mills was the guy who said he felt Beauden should have started for the All Blacks.
The super sub, when he first came on, he's still got that ability. 124 test matches, and you're still doing stuff like this. I mean, so the part of me is saying we've got to entrust in the fact that, your point, JK, we've got to entrust in the guy that we've put out there, Damian McKenzie.
So the big argument between should Beauden be a super sub and keep coming on to have that kind of impact, or should he be there from the start? Well, guys, to me, my opinion is the first thing that I think everyone needs to kind of like disregard is the fact that personally, D-Mac will play 10, because we know that Mohonga used to keep D-Mac out from schools rugby. Those were the two guys that came through. I've looked a bit into the history of both those players. They'd been playing right through school rugby, and they were the promising players. And due to injuries and stuff, you find that D-Mac had little times in between where he could step in for Mohonga, but for the most part, Mohonga was the 10. But D-Mac was identified as a 10. So they kind of sticking to that. Personally, I feel, from an outside perspective, I feel D-Mac is more of a 15. And I do think that, to me, Beauden Barrett is a better 10 than D-Mac. But I know the coaching staff won't veer now, because they have to now start building the experience there at 10 and let D-Mac just build that experience, play under pressure, and develop his game, because any player can be developed even more. Not that he doesn't have a lot of skill, but he loves the open play, loves the running type rugby. When he's under pressure, being able to absorb it better. We know Beauden Barrett has started many games for the All Blacks at 10 and been pretty good. Like, I really do think he's, again, Mohonga is that bit better, but Mohonga is not in the conversation. But Beauden Barrett, definitely for me, when they're talking about super sub, I do have to say I feel this guy's got to be in the starting lineup. And I'll tell you guys why I say that. I would say put him in on 15. Perifeta to start him on 15 to me is just not a good idea. There's not that same synergy and the understanding between D-Mac and Perifeta as there is between Barrett and D-Mac. You can see there's a huge respect and understanding on a different level that these two guys have. They're showing all the highlights where Barrett, obviously did great things, but what they don't show is how often between D-Mac and Barrett, they covered each other, and the great passes that they got out to each other, and the understanding that they have and the cohesion, but also just generally how you'd find Beauden Barrett falling to first receiver sometimes. So they have this kind of understanding where it's not always D-Mac being first receiver. Sometimes he'll drop back and let Bodie go in there. So then you have that option where they can both play. Obviously, the starting fly-off is D-Mac, but sometimes he can drop back and Bodie can surprise him by going in there. The thing that Bodie does to me superbly well is Bodie's ability to, in the narrower channels, to be able to see space and just break for that kind of space, and his ability to just put those little light kicks over the top, sometimes grubbers, sometimes just a little small dab through. He's really good with that. Not that I say that D-Mac can't do it, but D-Mac is, to me, more of a guy who wants to spread the ball out wide, who wants to run the wider channels and get more of the wider channels out. But he also sits, to me, a little bit deeper in the pocket, which means he doesn't always get that forward ball. To me, D-Mac with Beauden Barrett there at 10 and 15, to me, is the right call, I think, for the future. To be wasting 60 minutes of a game and have Beauden Barrett sit on the bench. I understand he did it when he came in because the All Blacks had such good players, but right now he's needed in this team. And talking about, but they want to get the young guys in. Yes, keep playing D-Mac, but get Beauden in there. He's going to be there for the next World Cup. He's class. He should not be sitting on the bench, in my opinion. Start him on 15. Let that 15 jersey become his. And let him have that opportunities to sometimes drop into that first receiver. He's a leader. He commands the back line. He's to me like a Willie LaRue for the Springboks. Even individual plays, sometimes they make mistakes and they're not great and they take risks. But from a captaincy point of view there at the back and just a leader point of view, even if you're not the captain, just a leader point of view, it's so instrumental. So I personally would like to see Beauden Barrett start at 15 in the future. So, they do talk about exactly that, Damian McKenzie and Beauden Barrett and the type of stuff that they do together. And you can hear that most of his pundits are alluding to the fact that it might be great to keep Damian at 10, develop him there. They say he's only played 7 tests for the All Blacks there, and get Bodie into the mix more into 15. We know Damian has played most games there on 15, so he's more comfortable there. But let him be like a kind of support to Damian, because if he's at the back and Damian McKenzie is struggling at 10, quite often you can just get that switch around where Bodie just falls into that first receiver position and tries something different. It gives variation, which I just don't think they're getting with Perifeta, and I don't know if he can step up and be that player anytime soon. It's going to take him time, and he just needs time in the All Black jersey, even off the bench, before you start wanting to expect that from him.
In the last month and was part of a championship side, but there were some critical plays in this game that Damian McKenzie did really well. That was one of them. He was that last pass there. To suggest that he's not ready to run this team, I think he is.
Now, yes, maybe he's ready to run this team, but he wasn't running it until Beauden Barrett came up. So that's the point. Beauden Barrett allowed him to play more of a running type game because he didn't feel all that pressure on himself. He kind of knew that Bodie was there. Bodie can be first receiver if he's trying something different. It just gives a comfortability, I think, in the back of his mind, having that experience of Bodie with him there on the field. And we've seen this before, where as soon as, you get certain players together on a field, there's just a cohesion that you do not otherwise find, and it changes the whole dynamics of a team. It happens with all teams, and you do see that. And denying that chemistry to happen, I think, is a really big problem, just to say, oh no, he is an impact player and that's that. So I'm hammering on this point a bit, but I think it's an important point for the All Blacks and where they are at the moment, and giving some kind of direction to that back line, because eventually the forwards will come right. But the back line, let's be honest, have also not shined like they should. It's always been kind of through surprise factors that they scored tries or cross kicks, but getting the ball through the hands. I mean, how much have we seen of Rico Ioane with ball in hand? He doesn't get good ball. Same with Geordie. So I really think that this is very important for them to get them that front football and get more of that tactical kicking into the game. And yeah, let's see what happens. I think it can make a huge difference. So guys, that's all I will react to from this. But let's also quickly just have a look at the team that the All Blacks will run out this weekend against Fiji, which I'm so excited about. And I'll tell you why I'm so excited about it. Is mainly because of the reason that, I think the Springboks and the All Blacks, it's funny when it comes to selection and what they are doing right now is very similar. So Springboks going for their best options or their starting teams that they think is their best options. But this week, Springboks versus Portugal, a totally new team. So, and then obviously the All Blacks also a totally new team. All the new guys, putting them in there, give them the opportunity to prove themselves. And then now going into the main test in the Rugby Championship, start bringing some of those guys in with your main options. If someone's not performing, someone else has performed well in one of these games and bring them in. So very clever, I think, from both of them, Razor and Rassie, to be doing this. And for us as the fans, what is better than seeing a new team like this on the field and to see how they can perform against these teams and if they can run them ragged, because they should really, when you look at just the talent of both these teams that's running out. But let's have a look quickly at the teams. So guys, how can this not excite you? I mean, Tamati Williams back in. I mean, I've missed this guy, and I think we've all have seen him play for the All Blacks because he's been so good, for the Crusaders as well. And he's just such a quality player. Tamati Williams, Amua and Fletcher Newell, which has been, I think, the best of the scrummages so far. Good combination there, so great front pack. Then Scott Barrett getting a start again as captain. Some experience there, but then also Vahi coming in now. Vahi has got a great opportunity here to kind of, show who he is, because he's always been in the shadow of all the other more experienced players. It's time for this guy to step up. I do sometimes feel he doesn't have that locked demeanor, which is kind of like there needs to be some more aggression from him, I feel. I don't always see that aggression from him competing in lineouts and wanting to stand out and be the better player out of the two locks. He's always just been that kind of supporting role, which he's there and he'll support, but he's not the guy who has the better game if there's two locks on the field. And I would like to see him step up. Looking at Luke Jacobson, Ethan Blackadder, Adi Savia, again, that kind of stays pretty much the same for most of it. Still banking on Blackadder, where there is other options. People would ask questions about many other options that's out there. But yeah, Satutu being one of those that many still feel, could have done a better job. But yeah, sticking there to the experience, which I think it's good again, because over those loose balls and at the rucks and the breakdowns, being there quickly to get those turnovers is very important. And that is one place where Fiji has been exposed for years because of them wanting to play the running type game. They sometimes just don't have the numbers at the breakdown, and that might be very important that he keeps that the same. Adi being vice captain. Then Cortez Ratima getting a start this week. He did very well last week, this young chap. And again, very, very good, prospect for the future. Like Roygaard, just great new scrum offs coming out of New Zealand. And that's one place where they have no issues. It seems to just be locks where the All Blacks really have got some concerns. Then going Damian McKenzie again at 10, I think it's the right decision. Give him some time on the ball. Let him get confidence and comfortable in that All Black team. Good to see from a wings point of view, giving Caleb Clark a chance. Caleb Clark getting a run. I was surprised that Savu Reese was played again this week. You would have thought that they might have gone for Narawa on the wing instead of Reese, because Reese has played quite a bit, and as much as Reese has done some great things in his last game I think he had too much confidence from that 50-22 because he gave a horrible kick, 1 or 2 kicks, and he wasn't that great, Savuri. So interesting to still see him there. That's where some feel there's this kind of like a little bit of bias towards Crusaders players, but who knows. But Reese is there, and then if you look at your centres there, that also excites me. A new pairing there of Anton Leonard-Brown and Billy Proctor, and I think they're very kind of like direct players, very direct runners. Especially Billy Proctor. It'll be good to see what he can do for the first time there on that 13 jersey. It's an exciting player to see if he gets the opportunity, what he does. And then what we were just talking about, Beauden Barrett at 15. What a good call there. Beauden Barrett deserving to be at that 15 position. And I think you will see the influence that Beauden and Damien's going to have. They're probably going to create a lot of opportunities between those two guys, and you'll see the chemistry on the field and probably answer the questions that Damian McKenzie should be that number 15. Then George Bell also having his opportunity from the bench. He'll be excited to come on. Ethan de Groot in there. Tossi also on the bench. A lot of opportunities here for guys with new caps. Sam Derry on the bench, Wallace Satiti on the bench. So really looking in this game to introduce all these new All Blacks to Test rugby. Noah Nottam also on the bench, and then Geordie Barrett. Sorry about that. Geordie Barrett on the bench, and Imoni Narawa, which in my opinion should have started, but still good to see him come off the bench. It's a good team, guys, and it's gonna give us as the rugby fans, make us really excited to see this. Lastly, let's quickly have a look at the Springboks team. So the same thing here for the Springboks. You guys might find there are a whole lot of new names if you're not following Springbok Rugby. Jan Hendrik Wessel starting with Johan Grobler and Thomas de Toy. So Thomas de Toy, the only guy that's been around for quite a while. He's got a lot of experience, been the captain of the Sharks. But the other guys all new in this team. Grobler also a great jackler, so I'd like to see him express himself a bit more because he's not been. We will see if he can really now step up to this level. Then Salmat Murad also new in the team, been really good in that last game, and good to see him there. RG Snyman getting a start. You guys know these names, RG Snyman. But that's about it then in that front pack. Then you got Pepsi Buthelezi, Ben Jason Dixon, both new guys coming in. Very good players. Honestly, played very well for their clubs. Pepsi Buthelezi for the Sharks. And then also like Ivan Ruas that played very well against Wales. Now getting his chance to play 8. I still think that he might just be the right guy for the future for the Springboks at that 8 position. I do like him. I like his elusiveness, and I think it's a player that can really be developed. Then Kobus Reinach. Now, Kobus Reinach, such in a Springbok jersey, always having to play these games, kind of like the easy games. From time to time, that he gets the bigger games in the Rugby Championship, but unlucky sometimes. And I have to tell you, with the way Faf de Klerk is playing these days, he's going to fall out of favour. You've got a Grant Williams there, which is looking great from the bench. And then you've got, Kobus Reinach has just Mr. Dependable. He's just got a standard of rugby that's really good. Faf de Klerk going through a little bit of a dip. So, then getting Kobus Reinach up there at 10. Mani Libbok back in the mix. So, Mani Libbok falling out of favour a bit with Andre Pollard being there. And Sasha Feinberg, Mangazulu, a new prodigy, young guy coming in, being considered above Mani Libbok. But Mani Libbok now getting his opportunity to put his hand up again and say, consider me for that second spot. So that should also be really good. And then if you look at those wingers, Mapimpi and Kurtley Orances, Mapimpi hasn't really had a chance. He's been kept out by some other good wingers that's also been given opportunities. Good to see Kurtley Orances still retain his position there. He's had an injury, so I think they want to give him more play time. Brilliant player, and then he should score a few tries. Makazole also, if Makazole Mapimpi gets space, he's through. And then, exciting, Andre Esterhuizen firstly. He's not been great where he's had opportunities to play. Been great in England at Harlequins, but struggled a bit with the Springboks. Not bad, but not been Delilindi and Kriel. And then, of course, on the outside, Lucanio Am returns. Now, we know what Lucanio Am has done in the past. He's been quiet now for basically the last year and a half. And back in the Springbok jersey, obviously loyalty to get this guy back to what he was and get him through this injury. And I'm so excited to see if he comes back and he just shines straight away again. And then, of course, your fullback, they're playing up Apelele Fassi again now. Willie Leroux had a concussion injury and they're keeping him out for this game. So Apelele Fassi, a very, very good runner of the ball. Very elusive, very fast. Maybe not the tactical kicking and the distribution abilities of Willie Leroux. But this is the right type of game for Fassi to really shine. So it'll also be good to see him there. Then from the bench, Andre Igufente actually dates Russie's daughter. So always one of those things where they're like, why is he in the team? But he's there. Mshunu from the Sharks, big prop, strong guy. I kind of like that guy a lot. I'd love to see what he's going to do from the bench. And of course, Trevor Nayakane, also been falling a little bit out of favor lately. A very good scrummager, can do both a tight and loose head. He's in there. Roan Venter getting his run, and Elrich Lowe. I'm happy to see Elrich Lowe also being pulled back. Roan Venter was phenomenal this year, the Super Rugby. Elrich Lowe, I mean, just what he's done this year with the Bulls as well, the type of carrier he is and how good he is in defense. You know, he puts a lot of pressure on the fly-offs. Mornay van der Berg in as well. Sasha Feinberg Mangazulu on the bench again. So they want to keep playing this guy on the second half to keep giving him exposure. They definitely see a lot of promise in him. And then Quinn Horn. You know, you have the two Horn brothers that's come through South African schools. Frankie Horn and then his brother Quinn Horn. A lot of people expected Frankie Horn, the loose forward for the Lions, to really make it quicker. But Quinn on fullback, the first to actually find his Springbok cap, and also a very explosive runner, fast guy, similar to me to Fassi in the style of play, but it'll be good to see what he can do in the Springbok colours. So both teams, new players in there, exciting. I am very excited about the rugby again this weekend. This time just seeing more of a running type game, seeing the potential we have for both teams in these new players coming in. Guys, like I've said to you before, got a love for this thing called rugby. If you love this with me and you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to catch you in the next one, and thanks for watching like always. Cheers.